You're listening to Mosh on Radio Adelaide, and you're with Jake and Amber, and we're with Ville Valo from him. How you doing, man?
Oh, getting there. Just woke up a second ago, you know.
Just woke up?
Yeah, from a hotel. Just kipped. So
Just
you gotta,
kips.
yeah, you got to do that on occasion. I'm not really used to flying on gig days, so it's a bit odd, you know. But we're playing fairly late. We're playing between 9 and 10 in the evening, and then heading over to a hotel. You've got adrenaline in your body, so you can't sleep straight away. So I fall asleep at like 4 a.m. whatever. Then we have to wake up at 8 to get to the airport or whatever. So it's very different from touring in Europe, because usually then we have sleeper buses, you know, coaches, and so you always, after the gig, you hop on a bus and you get to see some. You know, I was actually complaining about it. Would it be lovely to see some, you know, Aussie land, you know, stuff in between the cities? But I've understood that rarely anybody tours with buses. But of
For
course,
sure. You should
just
come
a
back,
little bit, you know?
you should come back to Australia and do your own headlining tour, and then
Maybe
go
one
by
day, yeah.
bus. That'd be heaps fun.
It
Then
would
you can
be great.
see
Yeah.
all
Next time
outback.
around, we definitely need to figure it out. Do you understand you can't do the entire country, you know, especially doing the path like thingy. You know, it takes a lot of time, but it does give that little special something. You get to see places that normally people never do. So.
During Soundwave festivals and other tours, do you see much of Australia on your time off, or are you pretty busy just playing gigs?
We haven't had a lot of time off, and then on this particular tour, there's been a couple of mates I haven't seen in years. So basically, when we've had a day off, we just spend it in pubs. So just try to figure out a place where to sit down and, you know, get some grub and get some beers down. And so it's also, you know, me being the yodeler, you know, trying to tickle my tonsils each and every night. I don't want to stress it out too much. So like rest is the most important thing, and just try and take it easy, because, you know, when we're younger, when you play really short sets, then you can mess about and you can get messed up royally. But we're just getting old and weary. That's what happens with time.
Well, him have been around for now 21 years.
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately. What's the sort of massive difference between starting off and to where you are now?
Obviously, you know, we started just had an idea that it'd be lovely not to work and to play music. It was fairly simple, and to be able to play one gig, to be able to write one song, maybe able to get a record deal. So, you know, those are the big steps at first. And then it starts to get like a bit of a blur, especially in our case, because you rarely have the time to sit back and like reflect what's been going on, because you're always going forwards. What's the difference? No, we're just older. The hangovers are worse. That's the thing. You know, there's more free beer, but we can't handle it anymore. You know.
And talking about Scandinavia, we've been told from Australia that Scandinavia holds the record for most metal bands anywhere in the world.
Could be. It's tough to say. You know, I've always been wondering whether it's just because of the poor heating. You know, we need to keep ourselves warm, and banging your head is a good way of doing it, and burning churches and stuff. So, to be honest with you, I don't know. But, you know, the Scandinavians tend to have a flair for the dramatic. You know, they like their stuff big and passionate and kind of morose. We love melancholy music. You know, I think that melancholy music is cathartic. You know, sad songs enable you to live through live that sadness and leave it to the music. You know, I think that works. It's like a psychological weapon. So that's what it is.
So do you find when you're writing songs then and lyrics that it's better to do it in Finland at home because of this environment, or can you write on the road?
We can be morose and pissed off wherever in the world. It doesn't really matter. But it's one of those things that when you're having a good time, then that's when you're going to the beach and eat ice cream. That's not when you write songs. But when you're really having trouble and you're having existential problematics going on within yourself, you know, that's the time to pick up the acoustic guitar and figure your way out of the labyrinth of sadness, so to speak. So that's the way it works for us, at least.
And then you hit straight into the studio.
Yeah, but I find it fairly, you know, it's not. Yeah, it's a very Scandinavian thing. A lot of people outside of Scandinavia don't kind of like get it. They might get the music, but they don't get the whys and wherefores. But it's not a competition, you know.
Why not?
I don't know. You know, it's a lot of traditional music. Let's say in Portugal, they have fado, like their traditional folk music. It's super sad, super melancholy. Then a lot of classical music, if you think German stuff, Wagner, and then if you think of some Russian stuff or some Finnish stuff like Sibelius or whatever, they're really powerful, really melancholy, really broody, really dark, really gothic in essence. So no wonder that stuff has influenced what we do. But I don't know. I don't want to know. You know, it's one of those things that's it'd be stupid to try to kill the magic, you know, by trying to be a mathematician. You know, there's no mathematics involved in what we do, musically, tour-wise, maybe. That's when the Excel sheets come in.
All right, now let's talk about a sneak peek into tonight's set.
Right.
Last time you came to Soundwave, you had Bam Majero just hanging out on stage. Do you have any surprises for tonight's show?
No, we're just going to play way better.
It's going to play way better.
Yeah, and play better songs and not to have anybody hanging on stage and spoiling our set. No, you know, so last time around, I think it was 2010. And so we had another album out then called Screamworks, so we played a lot of songs from that, and you know, a lot of stuff has happened since. So it's a bit more rock and roll, a bit more gloomy, a bit more doomy. You know, we're tired of trying to be a happy rock and roll band. You know.
So why the 4-year wait between shows?
Well, it took us a lot of time to get the latest album done. We had troubles with our drummer had this condition with his hands, like a tennis elbow type of thing. Yeah. All of a sudden, he started feeling so much pain in his arms and hands that everybody got super scared. He went to a doctor like 15 different times, and it took 8 months for him to recover. He had to like start from very scratch. Could be, you know, stuff to say whether it was psychosomatic or not, you know, to do with stress or whatever. But that's one of the reasons that it took us a long, long time to get the album done. It didn't feel right to invite anybody else to play the drums for the duration of him recuperating. So we haven't been lazy.
No, you know? No. And what about the reception on Tears on Tape? How do you feel that the reception for this album, say, compares to Screamworks?
To be honest with you, but I think the cool thing about our band is the fact that people seem to appreciate different albums in different countries differently. So, like, it seems that one album is successful somewhere and not so successful somewhere, and then it turns around, you know, with the next album. So there's never rhyme or reason, and there's no logic behind it, which kind of, like, makes it interesting and challenging for us because we always have to prove ourselves, as opposed to, like, now we have a hit album and we'd be really doing super well globally. That's never happened. It's like we get a hit in one country, and then we still have to fight our way through, you know, it's good for the head, you know, for the ego, so to speak. That you play smaller clubs in some countries, and then you play bigger places in some, and to keep us on our toes. Yep. You know, I don't know how the album's been doing, and you know, it seems to be a tough time for all sorts of bands. You know, albums are not selling that well, and then we've experienced the moment when CDs were still selling quite a bit. So these days, when people say that, you know, if you sell 100 times less than you did back in '99, it still equals the same. But obviously, it doesn't feel the same. You know, the bread's not as big on the table as it was. You know, you don't get to enjoy the fruit of your labor as much. That's why we're so skinny.
So with the so with the digital age, what sort of effect does that have on as a musician?
As a midget. Thank you. No, I'm a dwarf. No, well, you know, I think, you know, you could consider it being like separated you know, the bad weeds from the good. You know, so it's not the easiest job or also something that would be a dream come true. It really takes a lot of work, and then it takes a lot of luck to be able to survive. And we've been around for such a long time, it's crazy that we still can do it, and we can still travel the world, and we can still live off of music. So that's amazing. But there's good things about it and bad things about it. I don't like the impersonal nature of music being coded down to binary. You know, that music is ones and zeros. It just feels odd to me. At least, well, I'm so old that back in the day, you know, we were waiting for an album to come out, and we were queuing up to a record store on the day of its release. So that's changed a lot. And then because of the oversaturation, you know, because of you know, hard drives getting faster and bigger, you know, it's just a lot of people just download so much music they never actually listen to it. I think that's terrible at the end of the day. You know, it's like you can't listen to Led Zeppelin on MP3 or Black Sabbath. You need to listen to it on vinyl or C cassette or whatever. It needs to be tangible, at least for me, you know, but I am kind of old school.
And I saw on your Facebook page how you had some stuff stolen from
yeah.
What's the verdict on that? Did you get it back?
I think we got some of it back. It was a front of a house engineer who lost everything. So there was just it was very badly organized. You know, normally there's supposed to be security guards and people taking care of the because like you know, dressing room is the inner sanctum. It's one of those places that is kind of sacred for a band, and that's the place where we have our passports and we have our stuff and all that. And so it's not nice that somebody was able just to walk in and just take randomly just one backpack, and he happened to be our front of a house engineers who had all the hard drives from all our gigs. He'd be recording our shows, and then all sorts of like iLocks for authorization of different music programs and stuff, and laptops, and his visas for Brazil and places like that where we go next. So it's a lot of hassle. He had to go to the consulate to get a new passport for America, but they've been able to locate the guy. So let's hope that some of the stuff we can get back.
On behalf of Australia, I apologise for that man's antics.
Well,
we're usually pretty friendly and generous around here.
Well, you know, he must have been the exception that proves the rule, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got some of your stuff back at least.
Yeah, and it's nothing like life-threatening in that sense, So it's just paperwork and laptops or whatever. So insurance can cover it, and the point is obviously just that it takes time and it pisses everybody off because all of a sudden you feel violated because of the inner sanctum thing, because now everybody's kind of like scared, well, not necessarily scared, but overly cautious about leaving stuff to the dressing rooms, and it shouldn't be like that.
Should feel comfortable.
Yes,
with your guests in our country.
Yeah.
I think it's all we have time for, unfortunately.
Okay, fair enough,
Can't wait to see you at 9 tonight, Adelaide fans.
Yes. Good to be
Good luck,
back.
mate. See you there.
Thank you so much.